And what's the topic? The topic is change. We all know a little bit about change, but change is constant. It is personal. And how you manage it makes it bearable and achievable. Think about that for a moment. Change is absolutely constant. It is the one thing that each and every one of us will experience throughout all of our lives. Would you agree? Yeah. But how do we manage it? Let me ask you this. Raise your hand if you have ever been taught how to manage personal change in your life. No one. Absolutely no one. Doesn't surprise me. We have not been taught how to manage personal change. And isn't that shocking? What we've just talked about together is we discovered something that's going to affect each and every one of you all throughout your life. Shouldn't we know how to manage that? And that is where the gap is. We've learned a lot about organizational change. And organizational change has an array of models to teach you how to manage organizational change. But that is used within the organization, or companies, or businesses, or universities as large entities. And all of these worldly models are used on you. And I say there's an opportunity there. There is a gap that's missing. Do you know what the gap is? You, the individual. What about me? Where's the model for me to learn how to manage personal change? So if we know what organizational change is, what is personal change? Personal change is any change situation that happens to you, with you, for you, or about you. It's not about the organization. It's about you. And you're a human being. You matter. You can accept change or you can reject change. But I'll tell you what, most organizational change models don't account for that. They say that you're just going to go through a process and you will magically accept the change and the change will be executed. Surprise! I say that's not the way human beings think, that's not the way we act, and that's not the way we live. Now, I am no different than you. Personal change processes and experiences change us. Would you agree? Yeah, each and every single day. So, just like you, in my 20s, I experienced some massive personal change. I went and joined the United States Navy. So I came from a little Midwestern state called Kansas. You've heard of Dorothy, the Wizard of Oz, Toto? Yeah, I hopped on the first twister and said, take me to an aircraft carrier. And that's what I did. I went around the world, and my contract was to serve 4 years on board that ship, living and working with 6,000 other sailors on board. I served 3 years and 6 months on that very vessel, until one day, my leadership and supervisors came to me and they said, your services are no longer necessary. And actually, we are going to discharge you from the service. And you will not get an honorable discharge. You're going to get a dishonorable one. And why is that? Because you're you. You're gay. When I went into the military, it was illegal to be gay in the service. So talk about personal change. My world was upside down. Personal experiences change us, but they don't have to consume us, and they don't have to cripple us, but sometimes they can. So at that moment, my supervisors on board the ship made me pack everything that I had, and I put it in my backpack, on my back, had $5 in my pocket. They walked me off of the ship in San Francisco Bay, off of the base, and said, go on now. So I'm in the bay of San Francisco, and I am homeless, instantly. No money, no home, no job. What do you do? Well, many people can panic, and many people can get stuck in the homelessness. But I took that experience and I said, I'm not going to let this define me. I'm going to harden up. I'm going to find a way forward. And I did. I was in a great city. I was homeless. I stowed everything as far as I could, and I went and did my best. Bathrooms, showers, etc., restaurants, so I could go get a job interview. And I did. And I got a job in residential apartment sales, and I worked my way up. And very quickly, I worked my way up to a 6-figure salary. So I was determined. Personal change was my driver. It was not going to define me. I was going to define it. And at the end of a few years, I had bought my own condo. I bought my first cars. I had my furniture. Life was great. 6-figure salary in my 20s in San Francisco. Come on. That's a great life, right? What could go wrong? Well, personal change. it happens to us and you can't escape from it. So I went to celebrate with friends one day, and I learned very quickly, I don't know how to ski. Dang it. I didn't prepare for that change. So as my friends and I went all the way up to the top of the mountain, they went left to go down the mountain gracefully, and I flew off the top of the mountain and took a 20-foot drop over the cliff. As I dropped, my head went into the snow this way, and the rock, it wouldn't move. It went straight down, and it broke my shoulder. My entire left shoulder went down 4 inches, and my life was over at that moment. What I didn't realize, somehow I made it to the bottom of the mountain on one of those little sledmobiles, but as I woke up, what I didn't realize how much this personal experience was going to transform me again, right? How do you survive this? Well, I had 3 major surgeries over the rest of the year. I couldn't afford my home or my cars because I lost my job. I couldn't work. So I had to let go of the house, let go of the cars, let go of the furniture, and voila, I was homeless yet again, second time in my life. Are you kidding me? Personal change. It can define you. It doesn't have to cripple you, but sometimes it does. But what do you do in that moment? Well, I realized how quickly that life is so precious. And even though I tried to get back up, I couldn't pay the medical bills. We don't have national health care in the United States. So my medical bills were piling up into the 6 figures, but I didn't have the salary. So I went bankrupt. Talk about rock bottom. Where do you go, right? I took all of this, and after a year, friends rehomed me, and after this year, after my 3rd set of surgeries to remove 2 titanium plates and 12 pins from my left side, I decided that life is so fragile, I must do what I want to do to be happy. I must find a way to make the most I can out of this life. So, I love ships, and I took an entry-level job in the cruise industry, and I was only making $20,000 a year, but I was happy. They weren't expelling me from the cruise industry because they loved who I was. They championed diversity, and they said, no, you be you. And you bring that to work each and every single day. What do you want to be? You can do it. And I'm proud to say I've been doing this for 25 years. So throughout the cruise industry life and working, I've had lots more personal changes happen. And your personal experiences continue to define you. And I grew within the ranks. But it wouldn't be till about 20 years later, so from that picture you just saw to this picture now is 20 years, my leadership said, can you move from Miami and can you come over to Europe and we want you to lead sales transformation. Not really sure how you're going to do that. Oh wait, we are. You can go back to university here in England and you can learn. There's a brand new master's program in sales transformation. So we want you to do that. Can you say no? No. Move to London. Hello, it's personal change. I'm going to do that. So I did, and I'm here with you. So not only did I do my master's, but I got into the master's program. And it was so much personal change. To go into school, university in your 40s, my gosh, I see all of you in your powerful minds. Here's my old mind going, can I do this? And the answer is yes, I can. Personal change doesn't have to define you, but you can learn to manage it. And in a classroom just like this, I raised my hand to my professors and I said, I do not believe that the organizational change models you're teaching me are purposely fit for what I'm about to do. I said, why? Your job is to lead transformation for the sales industry, for all of your teams around the world. I said, but these models are all prescriptive. They say that I'm magically going to accept the change. That's not true. Now, my professors were really perplexed, as well as my cohort. These are senior vice presidents of industry in this cohort sitting in the classroom. They all looked at me like I just lost my mind. And I simply said this to my professors, human beings can accept change and they can reject change. Would you agree? Yeah, that's right. And change can be positive and change can be negative. Would you agree? These models don't replicate that. So they're defunct. I'm so sorry, I can't use that for human beings for personal change. So the supervisor said, perhaps you need to go build the model yourself. With my experiences and what I survived, that was a challenge and I was game on. So I did. I built that. I built that model in my master's program in my research. And I focused on the root cause, which is the fear of change, metathesophobia. And I said, how do we get people to stop being panicky? You know, so whenever you have a personal change situation, you go to your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your professors here at university, and you raise your hand and you say, I don't know what to do. I'm stressed. I'm anxious. I'm full of anxiety, right? You're shaking your heads because this is the way we live. What do they say to you? Don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. Everything's okay. I'll just get on with it. Does that sound familiar? The reason they say that to you is because they don't know how to manage personal change either. You've already established none of us have been taught how to do it. So what I wanted to do was focus on how do I build something bespoke for you and the way you think, the way you live, and the way you act so that you can manage change and embrace it, right? In doing that, in focusing on it, I focused on the root word scared. And this is the model. Scared, so what? It's two parts. So the first part is focusing on your feelings. And yes, men, it's okay to focus on your feelings. The ladies, they can still teach us how, and I champion them because we need to listen to them. So it's all right. Get rid of your machoism. Start focusing on your feelings and how you feel. At the center of the model, as you see here, okay, the center of the model is your change. And you are together with it. So you're synonymous with the change that's happening to you. You need to embrace that. The outer rims of the model are your focus points. Think of it like your own personal coach. So I want you to focus on the top center one is surprise. Am I surprised by this change? Positive or negative? Am I conflicted by this change or am I championing this change? Again, positive or negative. You're starting to critically reflect on the change that's happening to you versus fear and assumption and resistance. Then you take an action. And an action brings in information. And what an action is asking a friend, asking a relative, asking a professor, or your mom or your dad or whoever. You're asking people for information. This is action. When you do this, you're bringing in information points and you can start to take control of the change that's happening with you, right? Now your goal is to make an informed decision. You're starting to move forward and then you say, am I receptive to this change? Positive. Or am I rejecting this change? And that's okay. It really is. Because do you think you magically accept every single change that happens to you? No. We reject change left and right. But traditional leadership doesn't support that. And I say, yes, you can. You're still going to be left saying, well, so what can I do? And here's where I'm teaching you how to manage that. Then what you do is I ask you to look forward to say, are there any other options or actions that you can explore? Again, another focal point to say, can I bring in more information before I make a decision? And the decision portion here is you want to make an informed decision. You want to stop the guesswork. You want to stop assumption. When we go there, we go wrong. But if you can make an informed decision, now you're in control. If you can make a favorable decision, wonderful, move forward. If you can make an unfavorable decision, that's okay too. I don't like this change. Great. So what are you going to do about it? What's your plan? There's also a third element in the middle that's called indecision. Who has ever felt this before? I don't know what to do. I'm confused. I need help, right? Hands going up everywhere, right? That's called indecision. And usually when you're in indecision, it means you haven't taken any actions, you haven't explored any opportunities, you haven't done the work to bring in information for you to be able to make that decision. So this is why I'm encouraging you to do so you can make your own decision, whichever way you choose. Now, as adults, young adults, and even adolescents, we do not think linear. So I couldn't build a model that says this is a linear fashion. When we learn in chaos. We learn in back and forth, up and down, different types of ways or in processes. So the model reflects that. And on this next slide, as you can see here, it shows that. So you've got positive energy at the top, negative energy at the bottom, and you have time across. And you notice you can bounce back and forth. But the goal is a methodology process for you to think about the change and think it through for yourself so that you can make a decision at the end of it. Your goal is to make an informed decision. It's your change. But it's up to you if you like it or not. Now, you're going to be left saying, well, so what? So what does it mean? Or so what can I do about it? And this is where I don't want you to make assumptions. The organizational change models have stopped right here. The change is done. It's been executed. And I say, that's not true. As human beings, we're in chaos sometimes, right? You leave us hanging because you don't include us in your models. So what's your so what? Your so what has to be built on a thought process. You are at the center of the change plan. You just made a decision about it. So now let's start to put together your own plan of what it looks like. What's your so what? At the top is strategy. Then you have options or opportunities. Start to think, what does your plan look like? What elements can you write down or critically think about? And then you ask yourself, do I have a way forward? This is for you. This is talking with yourself. Maybe having friends guide you through as well too. Does this look like my plan can move forward? If it can, great. If you can't, then perhaps you need to go back and rework some elements of your plan. And that's all right too. This is all about critical self-reflection for yourself, giving yourself that permission to talk about it. Then you move forward and you say, right, do I have hope or do I know how I'm going to execute this change? The hope is a driver. It's your motivation. And this is all about you. And this gets really exciting because if you get excited about your plan, you're going to enact it. And you're going to be able to carry it through and enact the change in the way that you want, not the way the organization wants. It's about you, right? If you move forward, then you might say to yourself, what actions will I take to make sure that the plan that I've just built happens the way I want it to? And finally, how will you take ownership? And that could be milestones, or that could be dates, or it could simply be congratulating yourself because the change that you put forward worked the way you want. Together, Scared So What is the new methodology for managing personal change for yourself. Embrace your feelings, make your plan, but most importantly, think about it. You're the most important person on the planet, and your opinions matter. So people ask, does this work? And the answer is, absolutely, it does work. And why does it work? Because all of our leadership here at Royal Caribbean in my business, we put this process into place with our employees during the pandemic. And that was a recipe for personal change for everyone. And our employees were coming to us as they were being prepared to be let go. Many of us lost our jobs. But when we applied this to them, a magical thing happened. They were no longer scared. They came to us and said, here's our so what, we need this from you, this from you. And then they went back and did their jobs. We expected them to check out, but they didn't. They proved that they could think the change through. So then we gave it to our B2B customers across Europe, Middle East, and Africa. 1,100 travel agents across these regions participated and learned it for themselves as well. And we had reports from travel agents as families saying they're using it with their kids as young as 14 years of age. And when I asked them, I said, how do you think this is successful? They said, because children don't have the bias towards learning that we as adults do. So I'm really happy to say that this is my leadership team, and we are all back. We are back as good as you can possibly imagine. We're having record-breaking years, and our sales team around the world are interworking together with our B2B customers. And we're no longer afraid of personal change because we know how to manage it together. So whenever change happens to you, I want you to just ask yourself this. Are you scared? So what?